Hi, everyone. Hello.
Hi, here we
Nonita.
go.
Way, we did it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
My
This is
pleasure.
great.
Everybody joining, we're so happy and excited to welcome you to our Power Talk today.
And I want to tell you all that this is typical of women. Yesterday, everything that could go wrong went wrong, but we just quietly rescheduled. And we're so excited to be doing this. And Sarah, that color just makes my day. Thank you so much. It's just
My
so beautiful and cheerful.
My pleasure. So I'm let's get started, and we're really excited to welcome more and more of you joining. So welcome everybody. Just a little introduction about myself and Nonita. So my name is Sarah Simmons. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an impact expert and a global leader in living consciously. And I'm here today with the fabulous Nonita Kalra, who is a journalist, a writer, and a former editor-in-chief of incredible magazines, including Elle India and Harper's Bazaar. So, Nonita, today the purpose of Power Talks is to have real conversations with real people so that together we can share our stories and together we can transform ourselves and our world. So thank you for being here, and I'm really excited today to talk about honesty. And you know, we spoke the other day, we connected deeply, and a theme that came through so strongly and resonated for me about your story and what you said is like, it's all about honesty right now. So shall we start there?
We should. You know what I want to say is that the way you reached out to me was also so open that I got on a call with you and you did something really interesting. You asked me all the right questions and then you listened. And I find that it's very easy to be honest if people are willing to listen to you. What I also loved, Sarah, very much, and I think that you haven't done yourself justice by not saying enough about you, is I love the fact that you talked about unleashing the unique power of you. And you know, the more I thought about it, once you know who you are, it's very difficult to not be true to yourself. And I'd love to know just a little bit more. And this is me with my journalist hat. I can never take it off, and I'm really sorry, but you have to answer this for me.
Of course. So would you like to know about my journey of unleashing my
Yes,
uniqueness?
please.
So for me, this journey has been for the last 15 years of unleashing what's most unique about me. And, you know, we live in an unconscious world where we're actually kind of brainwashed to be the same as each other, to do the same, buy the same, go to the same places. And if we want to be different, or we want to follow our heart, or we want to follow that voice within us, that's telling us, always our intuition is telling us what the right direction is. If we want to do that and it's different to what's going on in society, then we can be sort of told not to do that from ourselves, from our families, from people around us. Often it's from ourselves, but also it's difficult to actually be unique and follow your path and go for it every day. And so my journey has been a journey of unleashing that uniqueness from myself. It started professionally in business, and then I used those same sort of business techniques of how to unleash uniqueness in business, and meaning and purpose in business, to actually look at myself and how I live, to do that for myself. And now I coach people to do that for themselves in business and in life. So it started with me. I was a buyer for Harvey Nichols, and I was living my dream job. I thought so, but unconsciously. So I was flying around the world buying all the top luxury brands, but increasingly I saw fast luxury and no difference between Ralph Lauren, Gap and Primark. And when my heart knew and realized this, that actually this was not good for the world, it was not sustainable, how we buy things, how we consume, I knew I wanted to do my part to do things differently, because I wasn't happy, Nonita, and because I wasn't fulfilling this unique role within me. So when I started, I jumped out of Harvey Nichols, I became an impact entrepreneur, I launched the first sustainable luxury brand in the world, winning Grazia Magazine's award for Fashion Entrepreneur of the Year. These journeys haven't been easy. None of it's been easy. And this is another important thing I want to convey to people as well today. Like, following your uniqueness is not easy, but it's the difference between living a kind of numb life to living like a truly heartfelt life. And even though a journey isn't easy, and even though it might not always go in the direction that we think, life isn't straightforward. There's a bigger plan for us. But what I know is that through following your heart and unleashing your uniqueness, you live in a happier way, in a more fulfilled way, in a true way, where you're really achieving your goal for this life. So that's a little bit.
And you know what I think that, and you're right. I mean, when you sort of follow your heart, and be true to yourself, you may not always be popular. And I think that this is something we need to address. And I love that you coach people in business to do this, because when I started my journey, nobody coached me. But I remember a very senior editor asking me, what is your strategy going to be? And I joined Elle, I was about 31. You know, I had no template. It was the first fashion magazine in the country. And I thought about it for a while. And I said, I'm going to follow my intuition. I'm going to follow my heart. And it just came to me naturally. But I can tell you something, it doesn't make you popular. It doesn't. And I think it's really hard for us. And I think it would be harder for people now, where, you know, your likes are immediately translatable on Instagram. Is my post like that? Someone said something nice about me, whether it's true or not. And we're not going to get into that right now. But the first step in this journey is to say that, okay, I don't have to be liked. I'm going to be true to myself. And you know this better than anyone. You have to be true to your brand. My dear friend Parmesh Shahani's just joined. He's written a beautiful book on gender in the corporate space. And I can tell you that Parmesh did it with great charm, but he also knew he wasn't always going to be popular. Because, you know, here's the thing, when you're going to be true to yourself, it is so, so hard. And I think that we have to acknowledge that it's hard. But we also have to acknowledge that in business to succeed, especially now, you're never going to survive if you aren't true to yourself. Would you agree with me?
I would completely, utterly agree with you. And actually, you know, when you start to be true to yourself and you really work on your own real story of who you are, which also I often say is much bigger than the story we tell, then when you're strong about who you are, when, you know, the world out there, like, doesn't want to agree with you or whatever, it doesn't matter, because people respect you because you know who you are. And suddenly what happens is you're strong in who you are, you're clear in who you are, you stay strong in who you are because you've got your story clear. And then it's kind of like a Marmite effect, which is actually when you know that you're starting to succeed in business and in life. It's actually good when people don't like what you say, because it means that you stand for something. And when you stand for something, you can actually galvanize the right people towards you and build a movement and say no to the people who are not part of your community. So actually, when people go against you, it's actually a really good sign that you're succeeding.
So I love that you say this, because you know what, when you work in communication and you work in media, your work is put out to the public month on month, and everyone has a point of view on it. Not only are you judged by your readers, you're judged by your peers, which is much harder. Your magazine is compared by, you know, other editors look at it. And it's hard, but I think you're right. It's when you're liked or disliked, you know that you stand for something. And for us in the fashion magazine business, we've all stood for something. And what I have watched, interestingly, is the evolution of the fashion magazine business. We all started, and you know, the journey in India, Sarah, is pretty much like you're on a treadmill, because it's really quick. We haven't had time. The first fashion magazine launched in 1996, and I'm distinguishing it from a women's magazine, but a fashion magazine. That's a really short journey, right? Yeah. In that period, you've had Elle, you've had Grazia, you've had Vogue, you've had Harper's Bazaar, all the big titles. We've all had to stand for something. We've had to be liked, disliked. We've started our stories very simply, very basically, pretty much trying to tell the India story and trying to separate ourselves from the world, okay?
Yeah.
We've said we're Indian, that's why we stand for something. And what COVID has taught us, and I think any conversation we have can't be without this impact,
yeah,
is that it's one world.
Yes.
And that the story of honesty and one truth is the same across. So whether Vogue does the COVID warriors in India, or Vogue Portugal does something really stunning, or Vogue Italia tells stories of hope, and now all 24 editions of Vogue have the same story. You realize that eventually you start from a place of individual truth, but there is global truth. And I don't
Yeah.
know how you feel about that.
I feel I completely agree with you, and I love how you say it's one world and global truth. And this is the conversation today. It's global truth. It's letting go of these layers of pretense, and the COVID has done, obviously it's done terrible things and it's done great things. And one of the great things is that it's enabled us to start afresh and to look at things, and also to have the time to look at things afresh. And what's the global truth right now? You know, we were living in a way so fast that we didn't have the time to actually do things properly, to think about what we want to create. And now we've had this time, we can think about what we truly want to create and what is our one truth, what is the global truth. And that really starts from the point of honesty of who we are as individuals, and actually what impact do we want to leave the world with.
I remember when we were sitting and chatting, and here's the funny story. Sarah's always picture ready, so every time she's like, "Let's get on a call," I'm like, "I haven't combed my hair." So I had uncombed hair, and I was making the bed, and we were talking about what we wanted to say about COVID, and I loved that you said, "Let's talk about the good things," because everyone has looked at the negative and the downturn and how hard it is, and then you said something really nice, and you've said it again, that this is a time to reset, to reevaluate. I think it's a time to bring empathy into relationships, into brands, and I don't see honesty without empathy,
Yeah.
you know. And this is again a conversation we had, and you said that things will get better, not immediately, but this is a great time for brands to say, what is my future? What does it stand for? How do I develop it? And I think the role of media has taken a particular beating, because media for a while was stone deaf, just like you talk about fast fashion and how it was being consumed without anyone thinking. Media was responsible for saying 350 best buys. What am I saying? Are you hearing me? 350 best buys? The it coat for the season? Really? Are you telling me that my last season's coat doesn't work? Or
Yeah.
my 10-year-old classic trench doesn't work? And I think that it was a really great point for all of us to go, what were we doing? And who were our heroes? Not just celebrity who was paid money to endorse a brand, but real women like you, like me, like everyone listening, like everybody, like every real girl who puts on her big boy pants and goes to work and faces daily challenges. And I thought that even for brands, you know, and for me, when I was with Bazaar, it was a specific challenge, because Bazaar is a legacy brand and you're always expected to talk to you with a tone of authority. And we broke our story down into the little things that bring you joy, because that's what it is. Brands again need to be reminded. And it's the honest truth. It's the little things that bring you joy.
Yes, it's the little things that bring you joy. And I think like the conversation about honesty from really starts from ourselves. And it starts from actually a rebooting of ourselves and saying, I don't need to be so hard on myself. And it starts from actually, let's be honest, like about loving ourselves in a real way. Because if we want to do great, we can do such great things in the world. And the point of view that I come from is to go, you're actually much bigger than you think you are. And actually, if we spend the time first to almost reprogram ourselves and go, we're great, we're really great. We don't need to be the same as the rest of the world. We can actually go out there and have the courage to do something different, but starting by this real place of self-love. And I think that our industries have not been great. Like the messages that they've said have been feeding messages, like the fashion industry's been feeding one message, the media industry's been feeding another message, to say, no, you can't be, you know, unique this way, that way, wear this, look like that, do this, do that. You can't be yourself. So it's been a very stressful time for everybody to not be able to be themselves. And now in this reset time, we can actually start afresh.
So let me ask you an interesting question, and it's something that I've been thinking about a lot. One of the ways we can be ourselves is by our choice of clothing, right? When you take away the fuss around clothing and you don't have to get dressed to impress somebody else, and the fact that we've all been reduced to the same uniform of track bottoms and t-shirts, that's actually allowed us to be ourselves more.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, I love getting dressed and I like to wear makeup and I like my black dresses. I only wear black. I'm wearing navy for you because you're wearing this glorious color. But I think taking away clothing sometimes, or fashion, or the outside layers has been a really interesting way for us to get really pared down and honest with ourselves.
Well, how I did it, because my whole background's been a fashion buyer, a fashion entrepreneur, and sourcing and curating and developing top conscious brands from all over the world, how and selling those to people. And how I did it, fashion is so important, because the first step for me was like, you know what? I actually think before even now I teach people a system, because I developed the system, but as I did it, so the system is very like A to Z. But when I was actually going through this journey myself, it didn't always happen in the A to Z, you know, in that structure.
Mm-hmm.
So it started with this business transformation. And actually, Nonita, it was fashion that came next before, before self-love. It became fashion, because I was selling amazing clothes to people and, you know, very conscious brands. And I was really looking at those people and saying what suited them. And I was like, you know what, you look at yourself. Because the thing is, you know, whether you're wearing a tracksuit, the thing about fashion is it's how we choose to dress every day, but it does not have to be about trend. This is the big difference. The great thing about fashion is to unlock what suits you and how you feel in clothes. And actually, feelings is this huge part of the conversation around everything, because how we feel in what we wear changes everything. And it's the beginning, the middle, and the end point. Like, we get dressed every day, and so many of us go and we go to buy things, and we've been on this unconscious cycle, buying without actually buying because it's on trend. But do you feel great in it?
So, you know, it's so interesting that you reached at the same point, because when we sort of relooked at Bazaar and I had a very fresh young team, the question I asked everyone is, don't tell me what it makes you think. Tell me what it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And let me grab your heart first, because then I will rest in your mind. I know that. I will have real estate in your mind when you tell me what it makes you feel. Yeah. Does it make you cry? Does it sort of resonate? Does it wander around in your heart and your head like a friend? And it's interesting that we've all sort of come around to this place. Earlier, you were afraid to say that. I could never tell someone that was my strategy. Yeah. What does it make you feel? They're like, no, what are your numbers? Where's your Excel sheet? And I was like, no, what if it makes me feel good? I know this. I know that women around the world are like me. Yes. We have this thing in common. There's something, and I whether it's the empathy that makes women unique and able to reach out to each other, but I think honesty lies in being able to feel. Yes. And to feel it truly all the way through. Yes. To the point of tears. I mean, I'm a big fan that my great piece of writing should move you to make you cry. Yeah. Happy cry, not ugly cry.
Yeah. I agree. And I think this is a great place for us to say, start to think for the last 10-15 minutes of our conversation, what do we see as the future, and how can we evolve this feelings and honesty? Because I think when we start to look at our own feelings, like in every way, we can be more honest with ourselves, more honest in our relationships, and more honest in business. And when you've got a hold of your feelings, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what brings you joy, what makes you angry, you can follow yourself and be your own best guide in a great way to do great things.
So, you know, I speak with a bunch of young brands right now, and a lot of them ask me, how can we increase sales? And I'm like, don't try that right now. Go back and rewrite your manifesto And I
Yes.
find that not a lot of people write a manifesto. They don't even write down the words that define their brand.
Yeah.
Forget the person who is the brand. You know, that's very old school. We joke about it. We're like, this person is our reader. She eats this, she wears this, she does that. But sometimes you just have to write the words that resonate with you. And they could be just silly words. I mean, my favorite word is serendipity. You know, I love it. And it shows up in my life. It showed up in my travel. You know, Sri Lanka is called Serendip. But you just write down words of who are you first. And I
Yes.
think that's what brands need to do. And then
100%.
they need to write a story
Yeah.
about what are they and why. You know, you've got to justify why you do something. Forget about the market. I keep telling everyone right now, everyone is in the same mess. But if you can tell your story with honesty and authenticity and reach out to even two real people, your brand will start to grow. And I think that the next thing we need to believe in is word of mouth. And you know, there's an Indian designer called Sabyasachi who's world famous. And Sabyasachi told me, he says that I really believe the power of word of mouth is greater than anything else. He says that's far more authentic.
Yes.
Is that something you've been seeing in your experience with
Yeah.
brands as well?
Yeah. What exactly what you say is part of what I teach. I completely agree with you. I call it your power words. Really, everything starts with a brainstorm. We go through power words, like and power is an interesting word in itself because it actually is a feminine word. It just has got misused along the way. Power words are like they're like transformation, inspire, graceful, words like this. And so we go through your power words. What's the top 5, top 7 that really resonates with you? And then you have to bring it down to one word, because in branding, it's actually, and in how fast life is right now, you want to be known for one thing. And this is the thing I see about brands and I share with brands. It's not 10 things, it's not 30 things, it's one thing. That's the first thing. And then absolutely, it's about being real, and it's about everybody now bringing their own real Instagram world to life. Like, people want to connect, and they're not going to connect through a static image. They want to connect via video. They want to connect via storytelling. And people can get over this fear of, very much, I teach to get over this worry about being perfect. I don't look perfect right now. I don't know what I'm saying all the time. I just want to connect with you and share with our audiences amazing messages without worrying about being perfect. And there's another thing I've forgotten. So if you carry on, I'll
But
come
you know
back to the
what?
point.
So when we were at Bazaar, my team and I sort of started to listen to what was happening on sort of ground zero, and we discovered there's this huge movement run largely by women on conscious beauty.
Yes.
And so, you know, we launched the Conscious Beauty Awards, and we hoped to give a common voice and a platform. And I think we helped a little, but the brands themselves are so fabulous. And the reason they were successful, and, you know, Sarah, I think they've been listening to you on the slide. They have very limited products. And, you know, there's a brand that I love, Pahari Local. It's her birthday. Happy birthday, Jessica. She's like 6 products.
Yeah.
And she just kept quiet about her story till she developed it. She's developed it. Her storytelling is beautiful. I love that it's so tightly curated, because I think we don't have time for confusion. We also know you can't do 20 things well.
Yeah.
Do a few things well, be an expert in it. Let me only think of you when I think that I need a particular thing. There's another brand that does beautiful mulberry silk rubber bands and pillows. Dame Essentials. You know, how lovely, how lovely. She's my go-to for everything.
Yeah.
And she owns that space.
Yes, absolutely. And I remembered what I was going to say. So you were saying about word of mouth, and 100% it's about relationships and word of mouth. But what I'm super excited about, and as part of what I teach, is digital. I call it the opportunity for building digital relationships to build your brand. So the thing, and this is what I think is the most exciting area, where you actually can transform your business and transform your world. Like, the fact that we are not kind of having to rush around, go to meetings, waste time, we actually can focus on who do we want to connect with and who do we want to do business with and who do we want to be our clients. And the great thing about the digital world and Instagram is you can actually learn through learning online marketing techniques, which actually, when I've learned these, and they're, you know, people sort of make it a bit complicated and you're like, online marketing, I don't really understand it. Actually, when you debunk it, it's really, really simple and anyone can do it and it's not technical. And when you understand online marketing and you look at it from a real people, real point of view, and you take that word of mouth, but the digital gives you this opportunity to take word of mouth and take literally it global. Because this is the thing that I really want to share with people. It's like digital relationships. We connected digitally, we connected via Instagram, we have not met in person, yet I feel you're an amazing, great friend and an amazing woman who, like, I will be friends with, continue to be friends with, continue to develop a great friendship with, and one day we'll meet in the physical world. And this is the thing about how I think this is the new future of how honesty and real relationships can really develop, and how people right now, I want to express this great opportunity that people can really seize and learn about how to build this word of mouth, but really thinking it from it local, global, and digital and real, and taking digital and going, these are not just likes, or forget the likes anyway, that doesn't matter. These are not just numbers of followers. What you really want to focus on is connections and people and building a global, I call it a global digital power network.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's one of the other things we encouraged with the Beauty Awards. We were like, collaborate.
Yes.
This is a great time to join hands, just like you reach out to your customer. You may want to collaborate with them. You may want to collaborate with other brands. Together, you are stronger and you're
Yes.
multiplying the same message. And
yes,
you're right. I mean, while we've all been stuck at home and I long and I miss physical touch and being able to go out and have the same freedoms, instead of complaining about how hard it's been, I think if you use digital for good,
yes,
it's a really great way to build community. And I admire young people in the way they can reach out to somebody in a different part of the world and be friends with them
yes,
and create music together. So create a brand together, create a conversation, create a future together.
yes.
Sarah, as you know, that I've got to leave. I've got to go get a swab done because I'm traveling. But I have to ask you a question that you asked me, and I think that I'm going to force you to ask this. I'm going to force you to answer it first. All of this honesty, how does it translate in your personal life? Because that's a hard one.
No, do you know what? That's actually been the most exciting area for me. So, in terms of my personal life, the thing about honesty is, you know, going back to these power words, like when you go through these powerful words and you do the exercise, and I've done it, like I'm scared to use the big words. Like I was scared to use the word confident, and I was scared to use the word powerful about myself. And the word I was most scared to use was powerful. And actually I've sort of led it into my keywords is, one, I stand for transformation, and second is powerful. And I was so scared to use that word because growing up I was told to not be powerful. I am powerful, to sort of dampen this part down, which is what I said. The unique part is often the part where we feel shame or fear around it. And so in my relationships, I'm single and I'm not married yet. And I always found relationships really challenging with guys, because I would be like trying to be this like put myself, this powerful, big, vivacious, amazing woman, into like a small box, not to be overwhelming or too much or this or that. Now, when I was honest with myself and I owned my power, I brought this into the light, then all of a sudden everything changed with every relationship, with men relationships, with friendship relationships, with family relationships, because I owned who I was. And it's been tremendously exciting. It's been the best of everything. It's been the best because my relationships in personal life, now I attract a completely different kind of person,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who embraces my power. In relationships with friends, I'm honest. And if the person is not somebody who's really positive, I try to be empathetic to them, but also I have to be honest with myself. And the same with family. It's enabled me to have great dynamic conversations with family, to change patterns that have been really challenging. So I can't express enough how
I
great
love
that's
what you
been.
say, because for me, and it's really weird, I am very honest and forthright. And the one thing people will say about me is I speak my mind. But in my personal life, it was the hardest thing for me to do.
Yes.
I could not say what I wanted. So either I came across as really harsh or as a walkover. And I think that what I've been able to do is learn to articulate and have the conversation. And I love that you say this, the transformation of conversation and genuine conversation where you both speak and listen.
Yes. Can I interrupt you for a sec, because I'm just seeing some comments. People are saying, what do we do about like negative people, and what do we do with pretentious people? So what would you say about that?
You know, it's really funny, but it's when they go low, you go high. That's it. For me, it's so uncomplicated. I just sort of, I kill them with kindness and I walk away unscathed because they haven't been able to spill over anything on me.
Yeah.
And I have been better than I thought I could be. And I
Yeah.
say, well, that didn't hurt. That
Yeah.
was a good thing.
Yeah, I think
Um,
people will like we have to be really, like, if we know we're going into a situation with a negative person or someone that doesn't make us feel great, what I do is I kind of put like an invisible energy barrier
yes.
around myself. And I think when you're with somebody like that, they literally try to suck your energy. They try to suck your goodness out of you. So what's really important, I find it helpful, is I put this energy around, and then again, it's about staying strong and knowing I'm not giving you my energy. I'm just not. And then you walk away when you've done it, and you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
I
and you
did it.
feel great. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're being honest to yourself, as we say over and over again, and that's
And try
it.
not to be with those people only if you have to. But more
Honestly,
and more,
we don't have the time. I
we
think that
don't.
we also have to prioritize. You don't have the time. Negative people don't impact me at all. I'm just like, whoosh.
Exactly.
But I will be very nice to them. I will be
Absolutely.
very nice.
Totally. So
Um,
let's wrap up the
yeah.
conversation. So it's been amazing. It's been so awesome to talk to you today. What are your closing remarks? What would you like to share?
You know, I I think the transformation is going to be my key word for the next few months, because connecting with you, having this conversation, connecting with everybody digitally. I love what you've said. And I think that I know you were supposed to interview me, but I am so grateful that you were so generous with your time and your knowledge, because this is something you do for a living. You've put it really succinctly for all of us, I think. So thank you. This was really lovely. I would like to do a follow up with you in a couple of months so that we can maybe ask people to send us questions in advance, because this was really great. I've
Yes,
learned so much. I can't thank you enough. A lot
honestly.
of people have asked us to save this conversation. It will be saved on Sarah's Instagram handle and mine. And, you know, we're both available on our DMs to talk to you at any point. I
Yeah.
think that you all know we do our best.
Yes, Nonita is a legend. You are a legend, Nonita. It's been an amazing conversation. And absolutely, like, if anyone, I do a masterclass. If you're looking to launch a business or transform your brand, I do a masterclass by Zoom where I introduce you to how to unlock your real power and introduce you to my coaching program. So if anyone's interested in that, DM for sure. And absolutely, I think it will be really lovely, because so many people
Yeah.
have been sending us comments. So next time we can do this again. And then absolutely, I think that's a great idea to offer people anything you want to talk about or know. We'd love to give any advice we can.
And since we're in the same time zone, when we can meet, There's a
Yes.
hug waiting for you because
Yes. And
that's what I miss. I like
yeah.
hugging people.
Yeah, let's meet soon, and then we'll post a picture
Absolutely.
on Instagram so you can see, guys, how this incredible digital connection comes to the physical world.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you,
Thank
Sarah,
you.
so much.
Thank you. My
Thanks.
pleasure. Thank you. Have a
Bye.
great day, everyone. Bye.